and welcome to Expertise is Overrated, the podcast taking the time to answer the questions you didn't know you didn't want the answers to. I'm Sean.
And I'm Vib, and neither of us has any clue what we're talking about. Let's get to it.
Today, as a bonus episode, we're giving you our super raw and unadulterated reactions to Creative Assembly's Total War Warhammer 3 gameplay reveal and trailer, which I've literally just stopped watching, and oh my gosh, what a trailer.
Absolutely. I watched it maybe, an hour ago or so. Watched the official Total War one, which we'll link in our description. Yeah, what did you think of it?
I want to deal with the trailer first, because the gameplay is probably slightly more contentious, but I think the trailer was fantastic. It's got story, it's got sort of the music. Can we just take a moment and talk about the music?
The music, award-winning stuff, I think.
It's
so good.
Who is CA's musical director? Because they need to win a BAFTA? Grammy? What do you win for a video game? A BAFTA?
BAFTA, probably. I think there are BAFTAs, yeah.
Sure, they should win one of them.
The pinnacle of gaming awards is what they should be winning.
Whatever the gaming Oscar is.
I mean, their trailers in general. I mean, compared to the original Warhammer trailer, this is levels different. It's changed, yeah, so much. I mean, kudos to CA for this.
And I've watched it 2 or 3 times now. I'm still not entirely sure, like, what happens. Like, there's a guy who turns into a demon, but also he's a Chaos Warrior at the very start. It's all very confusing, but you know, it's phenomenal. There's bears. There's bear cavalry, which is ridiculous.
Oh, your hatred of bear cavalry will always astound me. I just don't understand.
They just don't make any sense.
But because lizards being ridden by elves is perfectly fine. But let's not get into that right now. You're right. It's really odd, and I don't understand the story of the trailer. Part of that is because I'm not hugely familiar with Kislev by any means. So I don't know, because there's like 2 stories going on, right? You have the Kislevite / Chaos Warrior guy,
who may or may not be Boris.
It does almost make you want to think it is, right? But does he fall? Is that a sort of thing that he does?
Is he? Anyway, but yeah, you've also got that huntress woman, the scout, who's just walking through a forest that turns out to be in the realm of chaos. Which, that's a bad day.
That is a bad day. Yeah, she's in there with her bear. We say she. I also assumed it was a Kislevite huntress, but I've seen some suggestions that it might be Yuri Kovalenko. Which, I mean,
Yuri,
really? Comment on that. Yeah, I don't know.
That was definitely a woman.
That's what I thought as well. In any case, the character looked very interesting.
Yes, no.
And also somehow seemed to end up in like Khorne's.
Like literally, it's just her
at the end.
her at the foot of the brass citadel.
Yeah,
with a bear, and you got to think.
Both of them are remarkably calm throughout that as well.
Yeah. Anyway, that was the trailer, absolutely fantastic. And to be honest, I don't know if you watched the stream, but I thought that they did a really slick production. They had a little bit of bump at the start about CA and how they've made the transition to working from home and become the biggest games company.
800 employees.
800 employees across
huge
3 sites. That's enormous.
They've done bits, to quote the youth of today. In the past year or so, they've really increased their output and their teams, and you can clearly tell in the trailer quality. Like it's so much.
Sorry,
better.
they've done what?
They've done bits, as the young kids say these days, or so I'm told.
As in bits and pieces.
I don't know. Look it up in Urban Dictionary. I'm trying to sound cool. Okay, don't undermine me here.
It's fine. You undermine yourself. Perfectly fine.
Yeah, but I always do that.
I guess. Yeah. So trailer 10 out of 10. I want to play the game that trailer is selling me. And that's before we've seen anything of Grand Cathay, anything of Nurgle, Slaanesh, anything of Tzeentch. We've got some great trailers in store.
Absolutely. I mean,
assuming there'll be one for each god.
You would think so, and probably one extra. But it's a real testament to how good that trailer is, because I'm actually almost tempted to play as Khorne as well. And I say that not because I don't like Khorne, but it's such a melee-focused faction, which traditionally in a Total War Warhammer game, you're going to struggle, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it's not going to go well for you. It's like playing as the vampires without the magic.
It's like playing like the vampires without the magic, which, anyone who knows the game well will tell you is virtually an impossible challenge. Yeah. No Wind of Death, come on.
How do you win battles?
Exactly.
Don't I just use my troops to get them all to line up nicely? Anyway, we have been slightly avoiding the gameplay itself.
The gameplay, yeah.
So what have you seen? I've watched the gameplay trailer that CA put out, and I've watched Lionheart X10's hour of gameplay footage that he got.
Unfortunately, I've only got about 10 minutes into his video so far, but I've seen the CA one that they've put out, the sort of heavily stylized version. And I've seen part of Legend of Total War's video on it as well.
Okay, so I'm really curious. What did he think of it?
You know what? His tone of voice seemed to suggest he actually quite liked it, and I think the reason he liked it was because it was very similar to Warhammer 2. The sort of overall feel of the battles, he's a massive fan of that game, as you might imagine. He's got so many hours sunk into that game, I don't quite understand. And I would agree with him. If it is like Warhammer 2, that's very positive, because those battles are really good.
No, I agree with that.
Other than that, I think he was, cautiously optimistic, I think, is one way of saying it, because there's obviously quite a lot of new mechanics that they showed off, right? This was a sort of assault on the Brass Citadel in the Chaos Realm, presumably some sort of end game campaign battle that you probably fight once against each of the Chaos Gods. I don't know if that's how you saw that as well.
That's how I saw it as well. At least that's how I saw it when I started watching. But then, so my confusion is, you appear to start the battle with a load of tier 1 infantry, basically. You start the battle, or the press release, right, starts the battle with Katarina.
Yeah.
And half a dozen units, some hybrid archer spears, and a couple of like sword and shields, and a couple of cavalry.
All of which look great, by the way.
All of which look great, absolutely. And if that's the tier 1 Kislev roster, fantastic, sign me up. But if you think about Warhammer 2's Vortex, when you do the Vortex battles at the very end of the end of the campaign, you've got end game stacks, right? You're running around with Sisters of Avalorn and Phoenix Guard and Dragons, or Blackguard and Cold One Knights and Shades. And I don't know whether it's just they wanted to balance the battle for the player a little bit in this, but the idea that somehow you'd rock up, stepping out of the game for a moment, the idea that you'd rock up at the Brass Citadel with 250 men and hope that you can get through using portals or something just confuses me.
Quite. And there's still a lot of unknowns with the whole portal summoning extra units.
No, absolutely.
But I think it's an important point. So this is a press release.
Yes.
And so Legend, and imagine Lionheart as well, will make that very clear. This is not the final build by any means, which I'm very glad about, because when I watched the CA's first one, I thought, oh gosh, those Khorne units are really melting.
Yes, and then they make it clear that actually those whole battles are rebalanced so that the feel is different.
Yeah, and so Legend made the point that for experienced Total War YouTubers like Lionheart and Legend and all that lot, that was an easy battle for them because the HP of the Khorne units was so low. But he did say that he'd heard from some of the press guys who'd struggled and hadn't finished and hadn't won, and so were playing it over and over. So it's understandable that this is an easier version for the press to sort of get their hands
Sure.
On it. But yeah, you're quite right. It'll remain to be seen, I guess. What if I rock it with my 20 stack, is that the 20 stack I get to start the battle, and can I then reinforce, or do I just get given a preset army all the time? I don't know.
Yeah, how it sits in the campaign, I'm really curious to see, and also how, like you say, there's almost certainly one for each of the 4 Chaos Gods. So, do you do them at different stages of the campaign? Because those are long battles, right? They look like 45-minute battles, probably.
They were long, yeah, and that's in the sort of the nerfed version. But as you say, they did rock up with tier 1, arguably. I mean, I guess we don't know, but what looked like tier 1, tier 2 units. Yeah, some of the cav was higher tier, and then obviously at the end they had those elemental bears, which looked great.
Yeah, it all goes to shit in the end, but
it does. Yeah, I mean, I looked at that and I thought, you know what, on the sort of harder difficulty levels, I could see that being a real bitch, that battle.
Unless you can bring your own stack, but then how does your reinforcement work? So, for anyone who hasn't watched any of the gameplay reveal trailers, firstly, check out the link in the description. It's genuinely worth watching. It looks really interesting. But what the battle is, you have it's like a 3-stage capture the flag or capture the area style thing. You start with a small band of units. You force your way up to the first capture point, defeating demons, capture the point, and then defend against a wave of demons that then enables you to capture the next point, and finally the final point. And at each stage, the wave of demons that comes at you after you capture the point gets harder. So far, so good. Where I really hesitate is in the supplies, barricades, towers, reinforcement mechanics.
And it's interesting, right? Because I think you put that mechanic into a defensive siege battle, or even an offensive siege battle, depending on what sort of things you could build. Have that as a sort of deployment phase style activity, and I think you're onto a winner there.
No, absolutely. If barricades and deployable towers and potentially even reinforcements start to form part of defensive sieges, as they did in Rome and Attila, and I think Thrones.
Wouldn't know, never played it.
It's better than everyone says. Still not good. Then yeah, I really think you're onto a winner.
But I agree with you. It looked weird, right? Because this is a Kislev army in the Chaos Realms, which is already kind of strange to me. And then in the matter of seconds, they seem to be erecting walls. It's like in towers. It's really strange.
And also opening portals back to somewhere to enable them to summon better units. Like if you've got an elemental bear hanging around not doing anything, surely you bring that for from the beginning.
Yeah, but I wonder if there's maybe some, because we obviously have no context for this battle whatsoever, but maybe there's fluff that would explain that.
No,
right? As in, you need to weaken, as in by capturing multiple tiers, you weaken the barrier maybe to entry into the Chaos Realm, and so you can summon heavier hitters. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're quite right. Otherwise, you would just rock up with 19 elemental bears and go to town. It's great.
Knock on the door. Hello, Mr. Corn. That's another
Mr.
question.
Corn.
That's another question. Well, he's definitely Mr. Corn. That's another question I have though. Like, what is the purpose of the battle?
Yeah, excellent question.
Because best case scenario in lore for those guys, they win, they get inside the Brass Citadel, and then Khorne kills them all. So, we have no context, we have no fluff, we have no real understanding of why that battle is happening, but I just a little bit struggle to work out how that's going to fit into a campaign.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't imagine that they're actually going to the Brass Citadel proper, because that, as you say, is a bad idea. I think what this is probably some sort of outpost that each Chaos God will have. And if you can knock them out of that, you can effectively say, okay, well, they're now so far away from everything that it's going to take them a good long while. They are effectively gone for
maybe
a couple of thousand years, perhaps.
Maybe it definitely sounds like you're at the gates of the Brass Citadel and you're trying to kill Khorne's gatekeeper. That's who the exalted demon at the end of the
True, it is very specifically a gatekeeper, isn't it?
Yeah. So, but I don't know. And this is, I guess, the health warning that my reservation comes with is I know nothing about it beyond what I've seen. And I had significant reservations as to whether or not they could make Total War Warhammer. So I've been wrong just about every prediction I've made about this game series. I got Warden and Ponch, and I think that was it. So, yeah, it could be great. It could be great. I hope it is.
Well, this is why I'm encouraged when if the feedback from someone who really likes Warhammer 2 is it feels more or less the same. That's great, because then they're building on a really strong basis, and so anything they add to it, I mean, they could, I guess, at worst, be a bit gimmicky.
That's my issue. That's exactly the word for it.
But I don't necessarily see that as being a bad thing. I mean, because this is going to be a late campaign battle, I suspect, and I've got a few hundred hours in Total War Warhammer 2, and to be honest with you, I've finished one campaign, so it's not like I'm not one who has the follow through and the sort of sustained campaign abilities.
I'm in exactly the same boat. I've completed exactly one campaign. I suspect we've completed the same campaign.
It was actually, I've completed two. I tell a lie. I completed an Avalon campaign and a Wood Elf one.
Oh no, I've completed Altharion.
Because I've not completed Altharion because I was doing infinite money cheese with Altharion, so I was happily. And then the game broke, which was frustrating.
You broke the game before you finished the campaign. But no, I mean, if they introduce, everyone's been calling it Immortal Empires, right? The successor to Mortal Empires.
Yeah.
I'm never going to play whatever the campaign is that has this battle in it anyway.
Oh, I think we do an expertise is overrated full map completion head to head. Or co-op rather. We could do a co-op because that'd be easy to get full map completion. I say that now before we realise that there's 1,000 factions or something. Our computers will be fried anyway.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to run it. No, I think that's my sort of core takeaway is it might be great. I hope it's great. I really do. As you said, it's made me want to play Khorne, even though I'm fairly sure that he's going to be the weakest faction.
Yeah, they've got no magic. It's so sad. To be honest, you just turn the difficulty level down to more normal or hard, and I think the overwhelming bias against melee infantry will go away. So they'll be fun. I think they'll be really fun. It's sort of just a Control A attack type army probably, but they'll be fun nonetheless because they look cool. I mean, come on, the models look fantastic.
Cool. They look really cool. The models all look great. Some of the sort of final textures weren't quite there. Like, so, Katarina's sliding around on ice just looks really shit.
It's a bit shit, didn't it?
But you've got to think it's just because the final textures aren't ready for that.
And I don't know what Lion experienced, but Legend was saying that it ran a little poorly for him, so it's clearly not optimized in any way.
Yeah, so Lionheart said he had to essentially remote log into a CA computer.
Yeah, so it's like server run, isn't it? So it was a bit choppy.
Yeah, it's a dev build. It's a specific dev build to run that battle, and that's all. And it's, as you say, completely not optimized. It's probably running on like a 1030 or something.
Yeah.
just make it run.
But anyway, I think cautiously optimistic. If they've it seems like they've decided that Warhammer 2 was good, and so they'll just use that and build some stuff on it.
No one. I want to see some campaign or not that sort of battle gameplay. That's my big reservation still. Because if that just looks like Warhammer 2 but demons, I'm like, yes,
absolutely.
Sell me that game. I will buy that game.
Exactly. I'm fully with you. Give me the same game as Warhammer 2, just add some more factions, and it'll be absolutely fantastic.
If it's just nothing but gimmick, I don't think it would be, because no one's been asking for that game. No one's been saying, you know what I really need is middle of the battle deployables and the ability to teleport in reinforcements. So
no, but it's something. I mean,
fine.
Some people like that sort of stuff, right?
Yeah, and they can go and
it's
play
a bit like in the earlier
games on their phone.
Exactly. Yeah. But when it comes to that sort of stuff, I mean, CA's done like tried to do interesting things, like the Vortex battle at the end of the Warhammer 2 campaign, for example.
Yeah,
it's just a bit. Cool. It's like, well, I wasn't a big fan, because it's just, you get all the others showing up somehow. That's not explained why they're all of a sudden all there, even though I own all the territory around there.
I guess it's just a way to up the difficulty, and maybe that's what it was. It was the player never feels challenged in the end game. Not in the end game.
You've clearly never played on Legendary, have you? I can legitimately say I have played one campaign on it, and I'm not dead yet. So.
No, I think I have played one on Legendary, and not dead yet. But I just stopped playing because it wasn't fun.
No, that's definitely very true.
No, but this is what I meant by the end game, the average player isn't challenged, because the average player is playing on normal or hard.
No,
and they run around with 20 stacks of big scary things, and that's that. So maybe the idea behind it is to generate that end game challenge.
But it remains to be seen if this is genuinely the end game. I mean, it's entirely possible because Lev starts off next to the Chaos Waste, right? So
maybe you just work your way up through each, so like the rituals in the Vortex in Warhammer 2, you do 4 rituals and then an end game battle. Maybe in this you do 4 rituals or four assaults and then an end game battle against, I don't know, Belakor or someone.
Maybe. If they do that, let's hope they implement it better than they did the actual rituals, because
they were so irritating.
That was irritating, gimmicky, and
I own kind of pointless because you didn't actually. Why are you attacking this small settlement?
Yeah, I know. No, but I think it'll be. I'm encouraged. They're clearly doing excellent work. Everything looks fantastic, even though it's set to launch late 2021, isn't it? So still quite a few months left on this.
Yeah, I have a date prediction. I can't remember what it is, but hold on. I have a date prediction that I'm going to put on air, and then when I'm right, everyone can bow down before me.
I'm going to say October 15th.
October the 15th.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a Friday, so you're wrong.
Yeah, 14th then, sorry.
September the 23rd.
Okay, September 23rd and October 14th.
Yeah. You heard it here first, folks.
You heard it here first, absolutely.
One of us is right.
And on that note, well, actually, before we wrap up, first faction you're going to play as in Warhammer 3?
It might have to be Khorne.
Just I could see
because they look so fun and also so stupid. Like in a sort of just mindless charge. I don't need to worry about magic. What even is ranged combat? Don't care about that. Hit them with axes.
That sounds exactly like your style. Brainless.
It does. Khorne, or if Tzeentch looks like they've got really interesting gameplay, probably Tzeentch is the other option.
I felt like you're the kind of guy who'd say Tzeentch.
I like to think I'm smarter than I am. That's what it is.
See, for me, I think I'd give Kislev a whirl, because I love a bit of ice magic. It's very Harry Dresden in the Winter Night. Plus, I'd love to just send you screenshots of Bear Cav every day to annoy you.
One of these days, we're going to do an episode on why Bear Cav is stupid.
Well, that's a hot take, because they're not stupid.
That's such a good hot take.
No, other than that, I'm looking forward to all the factions. I'll even play Nurgle, even though I think it'd be really disturbing.
Yeah, I want to not want to play Nurgle, if that makes sense.
But we will.
Yeah.
Anyway, can't wait. October 14th, we'll be playing.
Well, I'm going to play on late September, mate. So I don't know why you're waiting.
I'm waiting. You know. Anyway, that I think is going to be all from us.
Absolutely. Thanks for listening to this very special bonus episode of Expertise is Overrated. It's unlikely this time round that we've said anything objectively wrong or offensive, but if you want to chat the Warhammer 3 gameplay reveal, talk Warhammer 3, or just generically CA, do let us know, rate the podcast, leave us a comment, or drop us an email at expertiseisoverrated@gmail.com, or tweet us at @zeroexpertise, or come by our website, expertiseisoverrated.podbean.com.
Or a Discord coming to you in the future. And saying Bearcav is weird is downright offensive, so I'm gonna comment and complain about that.